Hello everyone, this is Archita and welcome back to my channel Pharmacopedia, and I hope that you all are doing well. So yes, in this lecture we'll be discussing about the sickle cell anemia, and the topics to be covered within this is the hemoglobinopathy, molecular basis of hemoglobin S, mechanism regarding the sickle cell anemia, abnormalities, clinical features, diagnosis, and at last we'll be discussing about the management of the sickle cell anemia. So when I talk about the introduction of the sickle cell anemia, so it is one of the most common form of abnormal hemoglobin, or sickle cell anemia is caused due to the abnormality in the hemoglobins. And it is named so because the erythrocyte or the red blood cells of such patients adapt a sickle shape, or it resembles a crescent shape at low oxygen concentration. As you can see here, this is the erythrocyte of a normal person, and so when the person having have the sickle cell anemia, so their erythrocyte actually resembles a sickle shape. So it actually resembles a sickle shape at low oxygen concentration, and therefore it is named as the sickle cell anemia. Okay, when I talk about the hemoglobinopathy, so hemoglobinopathy is nothing but a family of disorders that particularly results due to the mutation in the genes for the hemoglobin chains. हेमोग्लोबिन चेन्स के रिगार्डिंग जो भी जीन्स होती है उसमें किसी भी सॉर्ट ऑफ म्यूटेशंस होना और उसकी वजह से जो भी डिसऑर्डर्स होते हैं दैट कम्स अंडर द हेमोग्लोबिनोपैथी. So this mutation actually results the synthesis of the defective globin chains that ultimately results in the abnormal hemoglobin. I hope this is clear, dear students. What actually happens is there is a mutation in the genes for the hemoglobin chains that ultimately results in the synthesis of the defective globin chains and resulting in the abnormal hemoglobin. So sickle cell anemia is one of the most commonly occurring hemoglobinopathy that is basically caused by the structural abnormality in the globin polypeptide, which we'll be discussing later on in the lecture. Okay, so apart from the sickle cell anemia, hemoglobin C disease and thalassemias are also a type of a hemoglobinopathy. So as you can see here, this is the at the left side you see this is the normal RBC, and this is the RBC of a person having the sickle cell anemia, that it resembles a sickle shape. So yes, talking about the molecular basis of the hemoglobin S. So when I talk about the structure of the hemoglobin, as you all know that it contains two alpha and two beta globin chains. Okay, no doubt the hemoglobin contains two alpha and two beta globin chains. Okay, so in case of the patient having the sickle cell anemia, the hemoglobin has two normal alpha globin chains. That is this alpha, that is this two alpha globin chains remains normal. So the point of mutation is at the beta. Okay, so the patient is having two abnormal or mutated beta globin chains. So whenever there comes a question that what is exactly the center of mutation, so the mutation actually occurs at the beta globin chains in case of the sickle cell anemia. So there comes one of the most important point that in the sickle cell anemia, the hemoglobin S, in that case, what actually happens is the glutamate, that is the glutamate which is present at the sixth position of the beta chain, is replaced or substituted by the valine. Okay, so in the hemoglobin A, we are having the glutamate, so which is present at the sixth position of the beta chain, and it is actually replaced or substituted by the valine in the hemoglobin S. Okay, so yes, this flowchart actually depicts that what actually happens. So in the sickle cell disease, what happens is, as I have told you, that this is the glutamic acid. So glutamic acid in the sixth position of the beta chain, as I've already told you, of hemoglobin A is replaced or is substituted by valine in the hemoglobin S. Okay, so due to this substitution, what actually happens is there's the polymerization of the hemoglobin. The polymerization of the hemoglobin actually occurs in the inside the RBCs, which is responsible for the distortion of the cell into the sickle shape. Let me explain to you again. What happens is जो भी ग्लूटामिक एसिड प्रेजेंट होते हैं हेमोग्लोबिन ए में, that is replaced by the valine in the hemoglobin S. And due to this substitution, what happens is the polymerization occurs. Polymerization or aggregation of the hemoglobin occurs, and this ultimately results in the distortion of the cell into the sickle shape, which you'll be understanding later on. Okay, so when I talk about the mechanism of the vascular occlusion in the sickle cell anemia, vascular occlusion in the sickle cell anemia. I'm again repeating it. So yes, you can see that this is normally a blood vessel. This is normally a blood vessel, and in this is the normal red blood cell or the normal RBCs. So within the blood vessel, the RBCs flow freely. Okay, but in case of the patient having the sickle cell anemia, the cell actually adopts a sickle shape. That is, the cell adopts a sickle shape, as you can see over here. So wherever there's a diversion, what actually happens is due to the polymerization, there is a sort of a obstruction or vascular occlusion in case of the patient having the sickle cell anemia. As you can see here, there's a diversion. So this sickle cells actually gets agglomerated and causing the vascular occlusion and obstructing the blood vessels. Okay, so when I talk about the exact center of mutations, as you can see here, this is the hemoglobin A and this is the hemoglobin S. So in the hemoglobin A, you see there's a glutamic acid at the sixth position of the beta chain, but it is replaced by the valine in the hemoglobin S. But what is exactly responsible for this change is this nucleotide. As you can see here, there's a thymine. So thymine is being substituted by the adenine. So this ultimately result in the synthesis of the valine. Okay, so there's the center of substitution is this the adenine substitutes the thiamine that ultimately results in the synthesis or the formation of the valine. So it is a sort of example of the missense mutation or is which is a point mutation. Okay, dear students. So whenever there comes a question that name the mutation that actually occurs is in the sickle cell anemia. So the answer is the missense mutation or a point mutation. Okay, so here it depicts the differences between the hemoglobin A, S, and C. So in the hemoglobin A, we are having the glutamic acid at the sixth position. In the hemoglobin S, we are having the valine, and in the hemoglobin C, we are having the lysine at the sixth position of the beta chain. Now, I was talking about the polymerization. So in order to understand the exact mechanism of polymerization, you need to understand the sticky patches, that what is it sticky patches and how this polymerization actually occurs. So this will be clear to you over here. So this is the sticky patches and formation of the deoxyhemoglobin fibers. So as I've already told you, whenever there's a substitution of valine in place of glutamate, so it results in a sticky patch. जब क्या होता है कि ग्लूटामेट is substituted by valine in the hemoglobin S. So in that case, there is a formation of a sticky patch on the outer surface of the beta chains, and this sticky patch or the sticky patch receptors is responsible for the polymerization. So this sticky patch is present only on the oxy and the deoxyhemoglobin S, but is absent on the hemoglobin A. Okay, so in order to explain the third point, I need to explain this. So this is the oxyhemoglobin A. This is the deoxyhemoglobin A. So this is the deoxyhemoglobin A. So the sticky patch is absent over here. In the oxyhemoglobin S, the sticky patches are present, but the sticky patch receptor is absent. But in case of the deoxyhemoglobin S, the sticky patch and the sticky patch receptor, both of them is present. And due to this sticky patch and the sticky patch receptor, the hemoglobin S, deoxyhemoglobin S forms aggregates in order to form a polymer. Okay, so this sticky patch and sticky patch receptor is basically responsible for the formation of the polymer or the aggregation of the deoxyhemoglobin S. So it is written over here that the sticky patch of one deoxyhemoglobin S binds with the receptor or the sticky patch receptor of the another deoxyhemoglobin S, and this process continues and it results in the formation of the long aggregate molecules of the deoxyhemoglobin S. I hope it is clear to you, dear students. Okay, so sickling is due to the polymerization of the deoxyhemoglobin S. And therefore, you can say that if the hemoglobin S is maintained at the oxygenated state, so when the hemoglobin S is maintained the oxygen in the oxygenated state, in that case sickling can be prevented. Let me clear it to you again. This is the oxyhemoglobin S, no doubt. Okay, so in that case, the sticky patch is present, but the sticky patch receptor is absent. So there is no formation of the aggregates. Okay, so if we maintain this deoxyhemoglobin S into the oxygenated state, so we can prevent the polymerization and therefore sickling can be prevented. And then moving ahead to the abnormalities associated with the hemoglobin S. So the abnormalities regarding the sickle cell anemia is the lifelong hemolytic anemia. That in the patient having the sickle cell anemia, there's a lysis of the erythrocytes. And also, I have told you that there's a sort of a vascular occlusion, and due to this vascular occlusion, there's a chance of a tissue damage and inflammation that relates with the pain. Then the third point is the increased susceptibility to infection. And fourth is that the premature death, that the patient having the sickle cell anemia faces a premature death. Now I'm talking about the clinical features regarding the sickle cell anemia. So sickle cell anemia is severe hemolytic, that hemolysis or the lysis of the erythrocytes, which is basically painful and debilitating. And also, as I've told you, that there's a formation of the polymers. So this stiff polymers actually causes the distortion of the shape, like as I've told you that the shape is like the sickle, that the RBCs resemble a sickle shape. Okay, so this stiff polymers is responsible for the sickling of the RBC. And yes, this deformed cells increases the viscosity of the blood, and therefore it results in the obstruction to the blood flow. And ultimately this vascular occlusion results in the tissue death or the infarction. ओके, सो सिकल सेल अनीमिया में क्या होता है? इट इज अ सेवियर हेमोलिटिक एंड पेनफुल डिजीज, एंड ऑल्सो इसमें स्टिफ पॉलीमर्स की फॉर्मेशन की वजह से आरबीसीज के शेप सिकल या क्रेजेंट लाइक हो जाती है. एंड एट थर्ड, दी डिफॉर्म सेल्स क्या करते हैं? वो ब्लड की विस्कोसिटी को बढ़ा देते हैं, दैट अल्टीमेटली obstructs the blood flow, and due to this obstruction the tissue death or infarction occurs. Okay, so this is the sticky patches on the hemoglobin S molecules. This is the oxyhemoglobin molecule. This is the deoxyhemoglobin molecule A, and this is the oxyhemoglobin S, and this is the deoxyhemoglobin S. So in the deoxyhemoglobin S, you see that there's a presence of the sticky patch and the sticky patch receptor. So with the help of this sticky patch and sticky patch receptor, the two deoxyhemoglobins stick and form the aggregation. Okay, there then comes the important point of discussion, that the sickle cell trait protects from the malaria. But before that, you need to know the difference between the sickle cell trait and the sickle cell anemia. Okay, so when I talk about the sickle cell anemia, so the person is basically the homozygous. It is basically the homozygous, that it contains the two mutant gene. Okay, that is inherited one from each parent, two mutant gene. ओके, व्हाट आई मीन टू से डियर स्टूडेंट्स इज दैट कि जो भी पेशेंट सिकल सेल अनीमिया के होते हैं, इन दैट द जीन इज होमोजाइगस, दैट दे आर हैविंग द टू म्यूटेंट जीन्स फॉर द बीटा चेन्स. बट व्हेन आई टॉक अबाउट the sickle cell trait, in that case the person is heterozygous. In that case the person is heterozygous. Okay, So only one gene is affected. Only one gene is affected in case of the patient having the sickle cell anemia. So in that case, you can say that the sickle cell trait is having both the hemoglobin S and the hemoglobin A. So I hope that the difference between the two is clear to you. Once again, I'm just repeating to you. Repeating it for you, that is the sickle cell anemia. In the sickle cell anemia, there is a homozygous gene, that is the two mutant genes are available, which is that is one inherited from each parent. And in case of the sickle cell trait, it is heterozygous and only one gene is affected. And so you can say that they are having both the hemoglobin S and hemoglobin A. Okay, so the point of discussion over here is that the suppose this is a normal RBC and the malarial parasite enters over it, and it multiplies and then causes the RBC lysis, and therefore malaria ultimately occurs in the normal RBC. But when I talk about the person with the sickle cell trait or the sickle cell anemia, what happens is whenever the parasite or the malarial parasite, which is particularly caused by the Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium falciparum. So in that case, what actually happens is the malarial parasite is unable to complete its lifespan. ओके क्या होता है कि जो मलेरिया की जो पैरासाइट होते हैं दे कंप्लीट मेजॉरिटी ऑफ इट्स लाइफ साइकिल विद इन द इरिथ्रोसाइट्स बट बिफोर द कंप्लीशन ऑफ द कंप्लीट लाइफ साइकिल of the parasite within the erythrocyte, the lysis occurs. So due to the lysis of the RBCs, no malaria actually occurs, or the parasite is not able to cause the malaria. I hope that this is clear to you, that parasite enters but it cannot multiply due to the lysis of the RBC. Okay, so sickle cell trait, this is how it protects from the malaria. Now we'll be seeing the diagnosis of the sickle cell anemia. So by these two ways, you can diagnose the sickle cell anemia. So first is the sickling test, and the second is the electrophoresis. In the sickling test, you just have to form a blood smear, and this blood smear is then prepared by adding the reducing agent such as the sodium diethionate, and then it is simply observed under the microscope. The second is the electrophoresis. So in electrophoresis, the alkaline medium is being prepared, and then this is the hemoglobin A, this is the hemoglobin S. So in the hemoglobin A, we know that the glutamate is present, and in the hemoglobin S, valine is present. But as compared to valine, glutamate is more negatively charged. It is more negatively charged as compared to the valine, and therefore it is much attracted towards the anode. As you can see here, this is the hemoglobin A. It is much attracted towards the anode as compared to that of the hemoglobin S. In the sickle cell trait, the patient is having both the hemoglobin A and the hemoglobin S. Okay, the last point of discussion is the management of the sickle cell disease. So you can simply manage it by the repeated blood transfusion, but the drawback over here is the overload of iron. Is the overload of iron, or the iron overload, or the cirrhosis of the liver. The second is the treatment with the anti-sickling agents like hydroxyurea. The third is the sodium butyrate, which actually induce the fetal hemoglobin production, as the fetal hemoglobin reduces the sickling. And yes, one more thing is that there's a sodium cyanate. The administration of the sodium cyanate cyanate can also be used. How? As it increases the affinity of oxygen to the hemoglobin S. And therefore, when the affinity of the oxygen to hemoglobin S is increased, and so therefore the formation of the deoxyhemoglobin S is lowered. So ultimately, our task is to oxygenate the hemoglobin S. So this is how the sodium cyanate performs the work. It increases the affinity of the oxygen to hemoglobin S and lowers the formation of the deoxyhemoglobin S, and therefore no aggregation is being formed. Okay, but at last, the sickle cell disease still awaits the gene replacement therapy. Yes, dear students, so this was all about the sickle cell anemia, and I hope that it is clear to you all. You just need to focus on the mechanism and then how it actually works and the formation of the sticky patches. I hope that each and every point is clear to you guys. And yes, in case of any queries, make sure that you ask me in the comment section below. I would be happy to help you. And yes, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel Pharmacopedia. And yes, I'll be right back with another such educational content. Till then, keep studying and take care.